Betsy is a former lieutenant governor of the Empire State. Now, were you lieutenant governor under Pataki?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
Excellent. Now, how does it run? Do you run as a team there, or do you run independently
That's right.
for the offices?
You can run separately in the primary, but then you're teamed up for the general election.
Okay, great. And how many terms were you lieutenant governor?
I served one term as lieutenant governor, and then I went back to the think tank world.
To the think tank world.
Right.
And you've written books, one of which you
Many
signed for
books,
me at the
right.
Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, about Obamacare.
Yes, but I've come to New Hampshire 12 times to sound the alarm about Obamacare.
Are you going to run for president? Because you've been here more than some of them.
Right. No, I'm not. I am running, though. I'm running against Obamacare, against government control of your personal medical decisions. But this time, I'm coming for a different reason. I came to sound the alarm about Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
Because people don't know the things they need to know about Hillary Clinton.
Oh, my God. What more could we possibly need to know about Hillary?
Let me tell you, I'm going to unveil a lot of facts about Hillary Clinton in the morning that people haven't heard or don't remember. It's ironic that she's egging voters to make history. She's egging them on to make history.
Yeah.
And we've got to remind voters not to forget history because Hillary's history is enough to disqualify her. So I'm going to take apart her health plan and show how much more dangerous and coercive it was than Obamacare. I'll just give you one example. The Obama administration is trying to woo people into signing up with TV ads and street fairs and fines. No, Hillary took a different stand. She would not take no for an answer. You will sign up or you will be automatically enrolled. And you will pay the premium or we will garnish your wages. That's what Hillary Care said.
Yes, it did. Mm-hmm. So I remember then Texas Senator Phil Gramm was the man who came up with that flow chart that just blew everybody's mind away. So Betsy,
it did, but it didn't scare people as much as the idea that you wouldn't be allowed to pay a doctor cash for anything that was supposedly covered under Hillary Care. That was very scary because it meant that people couldn't maintain their medical privacy. They couldn't go to a doctor and say, don't report this to my insurance company, here's $100, And people want to be able to do that. And you're not supposed to be able to put doctors in jail for that. But page 237 of Hillary Care said you could. Mm-hmm. And that was really terrifying. And another thing about Hillary Care that was so scary, it imposed, according to Hillary, she wanted America to be on a healthcare budget. So literally there was a number beyond which the American public could not consume healthcare anymore that year. And the bill said on page 137, if American consumption started to reach that number, hospitals had to make, quote, mandatory non-discretionary cuts in payments to doctors and nurses till the following year. So that meant you couldn't get surgery in December. You couldn't go to a doctor in December if Hillary thought the country had enough health care. It was so extreme that even the Democrats backed away from it, and it never came to a vote on the floor. People have got to remember how bad Hillary Clinton was.
It sounds like Hillary Scare rather than Hillary Care.
Right. And then the other thing that I'm going to remind people of is that when she was Secretary of State, she turned American diplomacy into an ATM machine for the Clinton Foundation. And we can't afford to have it appear that American foreign policy is for sale.
Well, she's only taking a page out of her husband's book.
She is very different from her husband.
What was the name of that company in China that we sold the nuclear stuff to?
Oh, I don't remember that one. But, he was mainly a centrist Democrat. She's an extreme left-wing statist who has no respect for the rights or freedom of the individual.
So what else are you going to share tomorrow since we actually won't be here? We're not coming on live until noon. So anything else?
Well, a lot of stuff, but you know what? I'm going to be here till Sunday, so I can always come back and do another interview.
Yeah. She doesn't want to spill the beans.
I don't want to
spill
all the beans.
Well, actually, nobody in these rooms are listening. It's just that broad audience on the outside.
Right.
We won't tell.
They're all here. It's just all right. So now, how is it that you got involved in these healthcare issues and whatnot the way you did?
Well, it's really interesting. I was at a think tank called the Manhattan Institute. I was actually, my PhD is in constitutional history. I was writing a book on the jury system.
By the way, Sid, did you ever think that in your interviews today you would talk to so many New Yorkers? Sid,
No,
Sid
I
is a
didn't.
New Yorker.
I'm a New Yorker.
Oh, really?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great. I should have been able to tell, but with the headphones it was hard. So anyway, I was sitting at my desk and I picked up the New York Times, and there on the right-hand column of A1 was the story about the Clinton health plan. And I just had this terrible feeling the whole story wasn't there, that the reporter hadn't read it, right? So I called around to the Capitol and I got a copy of it sent up to me FedEx. And I went home that night.
How big was it? Was it?
Then it was only a plan, a few hundred pages.
Oh.
But it turned into a bill in December, 1,362 pages.
Oh, so see, Obamacare is twice as
As
big,
much, right.
twice as big, but you're saying Hillary Care was twice as bad.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Well,
Really?
the bigger you make it, the smaller the chance that people are going to read it.
Right. But 1,362 pages, fortunately, God willing, I read it and a few other people read it, and that was enough to sink it. Because the language in this bill was exceptionally frightening. I mean, to tell hospitals they make mandatory, non-discretionary. Whoever wrote this bill had a real personality disorder.
Yeah, personality disorder.
Right, yeah. They're probably doing solitary somewhere.
Now- So you kind of stumbled into the whole healthcare thing. Now you're saying that...
But, I'd spent years studying it. The fact was that even though I was getting paid to write about the law, I had decided, I remember when it happened in 1989, that medicine was really the most fascinating topic because it's the intersection of ethics and science, right? And it was changing so rapidly, I thought, I've got to get on this moving train.
Now, you say that Hillary and Bill are two very different Democrats. Give us some examples.
Oh, well, Hillary Clinton, as I said, is an extreme left-wing statist. If you read her views on the power of government, the redistribution of income, she is very far to the left of her hubby, who really put in some very reasonable fiscal policies when he was president, lowered taxes. He was not a redistributionist.
Okay. So you're saying...
She's a Saul Alinsky semi-communist.
So you're saying that Hillary
I mean,
pulled
you should
Bill
read
to the
what
left?
she's written since college. Right. Go back to the Clinton archives. It's quite an eye-opener.
Oh, good
Yeah.
God.
They just unveiled a lot of those archives. And read her M.O. One of the things that was so shocking to me in 1994 when I went head-to-head with her on this health bill, fortunately it didn't become a law, health bill, is that she wouldn't debate reasonably. She wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to answer you. She would send out a press release to every editorial board in the country saying blatant liar, patent liar, extremist. It was all name-calling. It was evident then that she's not presidential.
What are the chances you think she gets the Democratic nomination?
95%.
95%.
I mean, they're looking under the furniture for somebody else.
So is there anybody in
nobody.
the current Republican field you think beats her or loses to her?
I think we can
guaranteed?
all beat her.
Okay.
I'm devoting myself to this project.
Well, anyone who can plow through all of that legislation and understand it and be able to articulate it like you, my money's on you.
Well, another Hillary.
I'm not running for president, by the way. I'm just going to help somebody.
Well, there you
Another
go.
Hillary Clinton question. It's been debated in earlier conversations today. The idea has been thrown out. What do you think the chances are of a Hillary campaign implosion?
Not high, because I think so much of the media, with all due respect to you folks, is on her side that they will quiet things down. We're already having implosions. The information that's coming out now about the misuse of her State Department office to raise money for the Clinton Foundation is shocking. If a Republican were doing this, they'd be talking about throwing the sucker in jail.
So
I went back and I went back and reread this morning the Senate confirmation hearings for Hillary Clinton.
Oh, my head.
And she was asked a lot of tough questions, which she refused to answer, right? And those Republicans voted for her anyway. What are we sending people to Congress for when they roll over like that? Only one senator, it was 19-1. David Vitter voted against her. Lugar, all these other people who asked her, oh, please, Mrs. Clinton, wouldn't you please stop begging for money from our enemies? No, I will not. Okay.
Yeah, I sometimes...
No backbone.
Yeah, and it
Well,
makes...
sometimes don't you... I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Rich. Sometimes don't you think that the people in Congress sort of say, well, if the president wants this person, we should.
So what do we
should
have in the
support it.
Constitution advice and consent for? Because some presidents make mistakes. No, you know what it was? It was go along to get along. You butter my hand, I'll butter yours. It's John Kerry, it's Hillary Clinton, it's Richard Lugar, making nice.
How do you break that? Really,
What?
how do you break that
Term
system?
limits.
Term limits?
Yeah.
I have a theory. Tell me what you think of my theory. I think that if the Constitution were amended to say that you don't get a dental plan, you don't get a health plan, you don't get a retirement plan if you're a congressman, and you get paid 10% below the average household income of your district, I don't think we'll have too many people staying there making careers out of it. We won't need term limits.
Right. Of course, most of the people in Congress are extremely wealthy. So it's not so
If
much
they
the money.
weren't wealthy.
Yeah,
they,
it's not so much the money. They love the perks. I'll tell you, I had a couple of revelatory moments when I was lieutenant governor. It was a knife fight most of the time, but there were a couple of revelatory moments. One was when my driver's license expired, and I went to the DMV in Albany to get it renewed, and they wouldn't let me stand in the long line. And I said, it's corrupt. It's corrupt that I'm supposed to go through the back door and get my picture taken when it's my fault. These people are standing in that line. Somebody's got to do something about that line, right? If you had to stand in the line, you'd do something about the line.
Right. Interesting.
That's why people want to serve in Congress. All the perks, the gyms, the
Yeah, we
Stuff.
should get rid of it.
right.
Someone ought to do a campaign.
They ought to
about
have to wear a mask so when they come into a place like this, nobody knows they're a politician.
you know what I think? I think, Betsy, you should be running for governor against Cuomo.
that would be
I think
fun.
that you have to be there.
We'd cover that race.
Yeah.
Betsy, if people want to learn more about your efforts to educate people on, healthcare issues, Hillary Clinton, whatever it is, or
Two
other-
websites.
Two websites.
Betsy McCaughey, you know how weird it is, the spelling, MCCAUGHEY.com, right? BetsyMcCaughey.com. And if you're going into the hospital and you want to protect yourself from a hospital infection, come to hospitalinfection.org. That's my life's mission.
Hospital infection. You probably...
Hospitalinfection.org.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to share a little story with you because they've both since passed on. But a good friend of mine was a state representative here in Manchester named Leo Pepino. And Leo's wife, Rita, had need to be in a hospital. And... well, long story short, Leo ended up proposing Rita's bill, which was designed to force New Hampshire hospitals to disclose their infection rates.
Yes.
So,
Well, I'll tell you, I launched this organization, the Committee to Reduce Infection Deaths, right after I left public office. And we have accomplished enormous things. We've gotten 34 states to pass laws like that now.
there you go. Good for you. All right, Betsy McCaughey.
Great to talk with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Nice to
you.
see you again, and hopefully we'll see you again.
And don't forget about that run against Cuomo.
Not till after breakfast. There you go.